All right, we are starting to fill these pots now. You can see paint job we did on them. It turned out pretty well. They're now officially dry. We're gonna alternate blue, silver, blue, silver. So just for reference, I went 4 feet off the fence to the center because I'm hoping to center these trees, of course. Now these are gonna be pruned so they'll stay dwarf is the whole idea. So I went 4 feet off the fence and then 8 foot center to center there. Now if you're not going to prune these for like a dwarf style, you want to go 20 feet apart on your tree, your fruit trees. But I'm planning to go just 8 foot because I'm going to keep these pruned for airflow, sunlight, so on and so forth. And I'll show you what I mean by that when we get to that stage. So there you have it. I've got them all spread out. I've got them all 4 foot off the fence line. Again, this will all be tarped in. Decided I'm not going to cut the bottoms out for the roots just yet. I'll let the trees mature in the pots. We're thinking about putting in a privacy fence at some point, so want to have room to move these if need be. But I figure I can always tip these pots on their side and cut out the bottom at a later date. So that's the idea. But you can see kind of spilling out of my truck right now. I actually went and got a bunch of wood chips for free. So somebody had actually had a load of wood chips delivered to them from a company called chipdrop.com. I've never heard of them, but apparently they do free wood chips. So it's got some sticks and wood chips, sawdust mixed in there. Clean as far as I can tell. So what I'm going to do is actually fill the bottom of this with wood chips to kind of decompose. And then I'll fill it with soil, and then I'll plant the trees in. And then I'm going to fill it with wood chips because to keep the moisture. Apple trees love to be, you want to keep moisture and so on and so forth. So this area is completely sun, which is what you need for fruit trees of this type, apple and pear. And then, but in the late evening, it gets some shade here, so it'll be just really nice. I don't think I'll keep these dwarfs so they won't really cast too much shade in the yard, and they definitely won't shade the garden here. So. And then I'm probably going to put the blackberry and raspberry trees in between these. We'll see. Bushes, sorry. But let me get started filling up these. All right, so still a lot left of the wood chips that I showed you. Got quite a bit. So I filled it up roughly to that level. That is about a quarter of the way, almost half of wood chips, and did the same across all 4 barrels. Now I'm going to top that with soil and then wood chips again after we plant the trees. So got to save some of these to put on kind of top load, just like we did with this. So the raised bed I took and did, it's probably about 1 inch thick of wood chips. I've got to go through and just kind of pull out some of these sticks. I don't want that. I want the wood chips. The sticks are great. I'll set them aside like I'm doing, and then they'll go in the bottom of another raised bed to compost down and break down. Feed the soil, if you will. So but there you go, guys. Just wanted to do a quick update on the wood chips and the projects we're currently working on, and I'm really excited about getting the apple trees planted this season. Probably have to do a burlap sack to keep the roots warm, but I will do a planting and pruning video for you. I'm not going to do that till we get back from vacay, so a couple weeks. So all right, so soil. This is actually the soil that originally came out of these pots when we brought the pots home. We brought the soil along with it, had a bed full of soil, and you can see that I did the wood chips and then we did the soil right up to that rim that we painted to, and all of the things. And so then, like I said, when we plant the trees in, well, then we'll top it with wood chips. I'm actually keeping it lower than the rim on purpose. I don't want to go all the way to the top with it. I want the tree to sit down a little bit. So I gotta get a little bit more out of that. That's actually in the back of behind the wood chips. So all right, so look at that tree, looks awesome there. Not planted yet. So that one there is the green apple. This one is the pink lady apple. Look how tall that is. Don't worry, we're going to be actually pruning these after we plant them. Planting them is the perfect time. This one here is a red pear, and this one here is a green pear. Now all 4 of these plants are actually from seeds. So I actually started all 4 of these from seed. So very exciting. I'm going to go ahead and get these planted. I'll show you how I'm planting them, and then we'll do a pruning on them as well. So I'm going to get them planted, put wood chips around them. You can see I have wood chips in there now. If you want to reference the repotting videos on these, I'll link it at the end. That is actually an orchid mix of wood chips that I put in there, and it's been fantastic to top the potting soil. So I'm gonna plant these out really quick here, get them watered in and get them mulched, and then I'll come back and show you how we prune them. Okay, so I thought I'd show you guys this step here. So I've dug a hole just bigger than the size of the actual pot. I am going to be transferring this as a whole. So you have 2 methods. If it's a very big, like burlap sack or big pot, the best method you can do is actually just cut the pot right down the sides. Take a X-Acto knife, razor knife, cut the pot right down the sides there, and just careful not to cut too deep because you don't want to cut too many roots, and just kind of break the pot out. You want to try to get this thing out in one piece. So I'm going to try to get everything, the soil, the root ball, everything out. You can see I've staked these. It's not typical, but you know, I stake these because they are seedlings and they're young. So I'm going to probably leave the stake in there when I replant it. But I just want to show you guys, you know, this part on how we're going to transplant it. So let me get it out of the pot and I'll show you what it looks like. So as I broke it up, all the soil just kind of fell out that it was in there with. The pot actually came apart, but you can see I didn't damage any of the roots. Look at that fantastic brand new root growth going on there. So I don't even have to de-stress these and break them up a little bit. So let me get this in the ground and we'll go from there. Okay, so note the soil level. I've gone right up to the base of the tree, right where the soil level was before. I left it right there. Now you can go a little bit higher. This tree itself, the trunk can start to form roots off of there, as you saw. Let's see if I can get it. Yeah, see right there where the trunk itself is starting to form some roots, and so I made sure to cover those up. That was just, you know, it trying to grab on a little bit better in the pot that it was in, which is great. Now if this tree is grafted, now remember I said I grew these from seed. If they are grafted, which is where you would take like an old apple tree and take the stem or stalk of a new apple tree and actually graft it on there, that means to kind of cut into this one and seam the 2 of them together by actually wrapping it and allowing it to actually grow into each other. If it is grafted, you definitely do not want to go above the graft line with your soil, because what will happen is the tree itself will start to take on the characteristics of the branch instead of the characteristics of the actual plant from the roots, and because it'll start growing roots from the actual branch. So if you have a grafted tree, you need to understand the difference. Make sure that you don't bury above the graft mark, and it's pretty easy to identify. I'll see if I can grab a picture of it and put it in the video for you. Okay, so you can see this apple tree here, their second one, actually held its shape a lot better. You can see this one is the taller of all of them. Look at that roots, they were starting to get root bound. So what I'm going to do here is just take my hands and kind of tease out the roots, just by kind of, see if I can get it on camera with my other hand, just kind of pull them out, you know, because we want to encourage the roots to start growing outward instead of continuing to be circular. Now, you know, obviously this is a much larger pot than what it was in before. A little 6-gallon pot to now I'm not sure how many gallons, but a 2-foot by 2.5-foot pot that it's going into. So, and eventually it'll have the ability to grow into the ground. So there you go. See how I just kind of teased out those roots with my hand? So now I can actually get it planted in there, and that'll encourage the roots to grow down and out more. So let me get this one in. Well, I grew the green pear in this 50-cent Easter bucket left over. Great idea for pots if you guys are looking for big pots, you know, leftover Easter baskets when they go on sale at Walmart, 50 cents. So I got the red pear in, not a big deal. And I had a hard time getting the green pear out. And then I just wanted to show you guys, look at this massive just root structure that came out. So I'm just going to kind of break these apart here because they've kind of started to grow together. So I'm actually going to take my hori knife and I'm going to cut right through there and just separate those roots. It won't damage them enough that it'll matter. That'll encourage the root growth that's growing from the top to kind of go back out and feel out. But I mean, the tree is just super healthy. The root ball kind of broke up, as you can see. The soil that it was in, just in case you're wondering, is kind of like a very sandy, clumpy, dry. The other stuff was potting soil, but this one was really grown in just backyard dug up soil, and it's a pretty hardy plant. So that was just a green pear grown from seed, and I mean, I'm so excited about this one because all these branches, I'm going to be doing, there's a couple different ways of pruning. There's the central leader, or there's the side branches to keep them small, which is what I'm going to do, is pruning for dwarf to keep them small. But I'll show you guys that in the next shot here. Right, there we go. All of our trees are planted. They are mulched in. Notice I didn't go high, just a nice layer of mulch, about a ½ inch or an inch thick. I did try to mount it up around the trunk of there just to kind of keep that and the roots healthy. So the reason I'm mulching is to keep this soil moist and damp, so you know, trees don't get watered as often as the other plants do. So you want to keep them with their moisture year round, right? So gone ahead and got all of them planted out, as you can see, all mulched in. And next step is the pruning. So we're going to go ahead and prune each of these, and I'll show you exactly how I'm going to do it and why, and look for that in the next video.